tonight's topic, storytelling. Now, when I say that, normally we don't think storytelling in the sense of, hey, what's up, Ozzy? Sorry, I break when I see people. This is awesome. VHM, right? Hey-o! That's where you clap. Yes. That's great. Thank you, Ozzy. Did you guys get, how was today? Was it good? That's great. He said it was great for those watching online. Cool, so I'm going to jump into this. So tonight we're going to talk about storytelling. And as I say that, this is a topic that I've been kind of talking with some production guys all around, just friends at other churches. And a lot of times in production world, a lot of guys don't think storytelling. When we think IMAG, video shoot, how we cut cameras, we don't think storytelling. We're just trying to get it not be shaky or a really cool shot. Like, that's sick. That's lens flare on that is beautiful, this and that. And we're kind of going just for like a lot of looks. But one thing that I've kind of noticed is we can tell a story with what we do. We can tell a story in how we shoot. We can tell a story with how we light. Content's being given on a Sunday and a Saturday in any service we do. Content as in the worship music, the words that are being sung, announcements, message, communicators, all this. They've created this content, and it's our job is to figure out a way to tell that story visually. That makes sense? So instead of just thinking, is it in focus and is he framed? Like, we could stop there, but I want us to start thinking further. I want us to start thinking, how is this telling a story? How when we shoot the keys, what emotion are we capturing behind this? I want to take it to like a creative level that normally you wouldn't think. You would only think in film. So that brought me to just the thought of a cinematographer. Now, a cinematographer, here's something I found online that I was reading. It's actually a really, really good article. I'm going to turn around and look. I hate when people do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Cinematography is the art of photography and visual storytelling in a motion picture or a television show. Cinematography comprises all on-screen visual elements, including lighting, framing, composition, camera motion, camera angles, film selection, lens choices, depth of field, zoom, focus, color, and exposure. And then I marked out there, even though earlier, let me show you real quick. I said motion picture and television, but I wanted to like scratch that out for a second. Not to say that doesn't exist, but I want worship experience to be a part of that, right? So all of our services, I want that, all of that stuff we do. And I never thought of that until I was reading this a couple months ago and going, wow, we choose what lenses we put on these cameras. We look for focal depth. We look for composition. We look for framing. We look for how much light's on stage. What color lights are we doing? That's going to be another night that we're going to have. We're going to have Austin come up and just talk about like lighting theory and how we light things and how much it tells emotion and pros and cons in certain ways we do it as a victory staff here. But when I was reading through all these things, I was like, this is everything we do every single weekend. So like in films, they're doing this and they got a big production and you got a shot list. The crazy thing for us is we got to do this junk in the live. Like we don't have a shot list. Like I made a shot list one time. I got 3 shots down and got lost. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. So like we're telling a story on the fly. Now we can prep is a thing. We can listen to the songs. We can prepare ourselves. We can know where we're going musically and all that. Last thing, why is cinematography important to filmmaking? Cinematography sets and supports the overall look and mood of a film's visual narrative. Each visual element that appears on screen can serve and enhance the story. So it is the cinematographer's responsibility to ensure that every element is cohesive and supports the story, right? So in film world, that's like one guy now. He obviously works with a bunch of people, but it kind of all sits on his shoulders. On the weekends, myself or Kay or Andrew currently direct right now, and Brian, who's actually, thank you, Brian, for being back there right now. We kind of are calling the shots, but at the same time, we can't set the shot up like a filmmaker can, or a cinematographer in film. Like they're like, no, let's move this camera here. I want to see this. That's like we have to come together as one crazy team, which is why I love live production so much and what you guys do, because you're doing it on the fly. It's crazy, like what we do with graphics and what we do. And someone makes a left turn and we got to go left, and they make a right turn and we got to go right. We can't argue with that's not the right slide, and we just put our hands up. Like that's not the posture we want. We want to be able to roll with it, and then we have a debrief afterwards. But until then, we roll with it. So when I was reading this, I was like, man, this isn't a one-person job. Not even remotely close for what we do. Like it has to take camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there's a 7, graphics, a shader, watching everyone, an assistant director, lighting, audio. Like we're all moving like solid together. So, to go on top of this storytelling, I wanted to invite, because I know a little bit. I used to actually lead a media department before I came here, but I kind of manage more. So I wasn't really into this. What you read, I know a little bit more than that, but that's as far as I get. So I wanted tonight to invite one of our own directors, cinematographers. He heads up all of our live video, all of our film and video creation from our on Victory World Church. Phil Stevens, come on up. What? You sent that last night, by the way.
Oh, man, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a seat, brother.
Great, thank you.
All right. Should we keep that going the whole time?
No, I did not expect that at all.
Okay. Well, I
Pink
thought it was
shirt, and everybody thinks I wear nothing but pink and red.
So, dude, I'm stoked that you're here. One, Phil he texted me this morning and said he had a sore throat, and that he was running, like nose was running, and something else.
All the things.
I didn't get any.
Things.
He ended up saying that he thinks it's just allergies. It should be fine, but I didn't get past, hey, I'm not feeling too good, and I was like, bro, you're 40 minutes of this, Joker. I got nothing. I didn't say that to him, and then I prayed for him, and he's.
I appreciate that. I'm an old man, and ghost things happen to me, so
Yes.
you just never really know.
You never know
how it's going to turn out. So I figured I'd just lay it out there for you.
I love it,
Yeah,
the honesty. So, Phil, tell the team what's your role here?
Sure. I lead the photography and creative video department. So Victory's different than a lot of churches. What we have is a mini ad agency within the church, which is really cool. It's constructed of project managers. We've got designers, like the crazy love thing that you see on the back screen. A designer actually, Chad, he's amazing. That guy, I could never design. It wouldn't work out. We've got designers. We've got everything on the web is done by this team, and I've got a team of 4 people and contract photographers and videographers to just make sure we're getting coverage of baptisms and whatnot.
Cool. And before you came on staff, you still have a company on the side that does. Tell us just a brief second about that.
Sure. I created a film production company called Bedhead Media, and it's kind of funny because I don't have any hair.
It's also after a film company, right?
Yeah. What?
Not a film company. A bedhead is it's a product for hair, right?
It is. Bedhead is a product for
Which
hair.
I thought that's what you helped film for Bedhead.
I get their emails sometimes.
Oh, that's good.
Really odd.
Do you get discounts?
No.
Okay.
I don't need any product.
That's just called spam.
Yeah. So some of my clients are the Home Depot, AutoZone, Ford, Coca-Cola. We've gotten to work with some really cool clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's called name dropping.
It is. I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I work. My clients are Victory World Church. If you've heard of them, it's a large church in the southeast Atlanta area.
That's nice.
I'm
impressed.
Cool. So you've been doing this for how long?
Not very long.
Really?
Oddly, no. 2012.
Oh, wow. You're very good for...
Yeah. I was in IT for like 20 years, like business geek.
We have an opening, by the way.
I bet you do. I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay, never mind. So you were IT before. You jumped in 2012. What got you into film, cinematography, just AI? What got you into that? Why did you leave IT and go to the creative route?
I used to go to another large church that is less than 13 rocks and more than 11.
12? 12 stones.
We don't talk about it here. So I went there for probably 12 to 13 years, and they kind of grew me up as a leader and a creative. I jumped in the acting team, loved it, and I just couldn't. I would be sitting in meetings in the corporate world just wanting to be in a video or make a video.
Yeah.
And I went to my wife, and I was like, listen, I think I need to chase this creative thing. And she was like,
that's awesome.
How are we going to pay for this big house? Bruh. But God worked it out, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you got into it there. So you went to 12 Stone. Oh, sorry. The church that will not speak of.
Less than 13, more than 11.
More than 11. Got it. The church we shall not speak of. Is that or whatever?
Yes.
Started doing it there. Where? How did because we've talked about cinematography, we talked about shots and kind of just that. How do you feel that it plays now? I kind of read that but that's text from a website.
Sure.
That's just ones and zeros. Let them know, what is it that helps tell the story? Because I've always heard content is king, but then I've heard that the visuals are queen. They go together.
Yeah.
So for you, why is it why go that route? Why does it mean so much to you?
Sure. Cinematography is so important, and most of what I do is writing and directing, and I'll hire the director of photography to come in and design the shots with me. So anytime you see a film, let's say The Revenant, for just as an example,
Yep.
someone sat down and looked at the script and said, let me design every single shot. Like you said on the screen, the lighting, the focal length, the lenses, the cameras, how wide the shot is, or small the shot is. That is all specifically designed for full immersion of a film or video. And that's important. Like what you guys do on stage, you want to immerse the audience, bring them in, move them, make them feel something. Cinematography is like a character. It's like almost an actor or sound. It being a character means that it has to flex.
Yeah.
It has to create the mood for the film. If you, sometimes the lighting might be a little more brighter when things are cheery, but it might be more moody when things are depressing or the character is going through grief.
Yeah.
So it's a character that needs to flex and move with the story for full immersion.
Yeah. So for you, you're looking at lighting. You're looking at the emotions of basically what where the script's going, where the plot's going, where the storytelling's going, and then you're looking at camera angles, movement.
Yeah.
What kind of shot it is? What do you find the most difficult part, or maybe one of the most difficult parts of if you're I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. I kind of talked about that there.
Take your time. It's your show.
It is it's not my show, but it feels like a show. I feel like I need to change this out. We got to change this completely now. I don't feel like that's right. What do you find the most difficult when you get a script? Where do you get hung up the most? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I'd probably say character performance, the actor's performance.
Yeah.
Because this is what a lot of directors do, unfortunately. They'll say, I want more. Give me more of that, or a little bit less. That is not directing someone. Directing someone is giving them the motivation behind the character and what the character might do, and then they can kind of understand how that character operates. So looking at a script and how it flows and how it should make someone feel watching it, sometimes you can get hung up on bad writing.
Bandwagon.
Bad writing.
Bad writing. I don't understand
Bad
bandwagon.
writing or poor
bad
writing.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. It's better if you write the script yourself.
Yeah.
That's really what most directors prefer to work hand in hand with the writer.
Correct.
And just flush it all out so they can understand it. But when you're given, for commercials, when you're given a script and the script is lacking, that can be difficult.
Yeah, I've been in those situations where you get the rewrites from someone and then they come back to you and you're like, I don't even.
What do you want me to do with this? This stinks.
Yeah, and I would get sick that day and not be able to come to work. I would get the
allergies.
The allergies. But you showed up, which is nice. So one thing that you sent me a clip of something you created. Will you give us a little context on this and then we'll check it out?
Sure, I'd love to get some context. So this was something, it's a little heavy, so I wanted to prepare you guys for that. It was something that me, wrote and pitched to, I think, Fox Searchlight and one other network, and we were trying to pitch a TV series. So this was a sizzle reel from that.
Sizzle reel?
A sizzle reel. A sizzle reel says, is this mic? Am I holding it too close? What?
You sound good.
Okay. A sizzle reel is kind of like a trailer, but it's actually dialogue. It's like a scene from the film or a concept from a film where you want to show the network and producers and investors how this thing should feel and move.
Got it.
So that's a sizzle reel.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's heavy.
A little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wanna check it out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Brian, you're up.
I reckon I was pretty good at surviving. Kept my head down low and did what I was told and tolerated no foolishness. I was faithful to my master, and as a reward, I was able to live as long as I did. Then he showed up, and everything done changed. Surviving was no longer an option. There was no hiding place with him. No, sir.
Shut your damn mouth!
I'm sorry, Master.
You had plenty of chance to shut your mouth, didn't you? Didn't you? You want to question me in front of others?
No.
I am God here!
I won't question you.
And my most assuredly, I'm madder than a devil! I got something for you.
I won't question you, I promise.
I got something for you! Get it!
I won't question you. I promise I won't question you. No.
You be mindful to stay still, damn it!
That
I'm
still
gonna let
gets
you
me.
follow this up.
Yeah, I watch it every time. That still gets me, man. They did a great job performing that.
So share with us. I know we just saw it, and we can see what's going on. Share with us what's the story you want to tell there, and then why? How did you shoot it? Like, what was your reasoning? Now, having some background. I love it. I know technically some of the reasons of like type of shots and like we've been talking about composition and framing pace. But tell us, like, what was the point? Like, not what the point. Where did this come from?
This came from a idea I had about a slave that had gotten in some trouble with the owners so much that there was a relationship with the slave owner's wife, and this this was just a scene from a deeper script. And then there was multiple. I'm sorry. It got really heavy for me. There was multiple shows, of course, within the series, but this particular scene, I wanted to move whoever was watching it to feel the helplessness of slaves back then.
Yeah.
They really couldn't fight back.
Yeah.
They really couldn't run. And then you see the slave behind the wall. She couldn't come out and do anything.
Yeah.
All she could do was just hope and wish that it was over.
Yeah.
So we cut it a little early because there's just more of that.
Yep.
And finally, he stops and walks off, and the older woman comes out and takes her down and just kind of weeps with her. But with the shots, that opening shot where she just kind of rolls in and she's kind of cornered. There's nowhere to go, and we wanted the audience to feel like there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And that whole design of the room and the shack that we chose, we didn't want something that had too much width.
Yeah.
We wanted something very closed, very, hey, we want you to feel like you're trapped with her.
Yeah.
That was very important.
Yeah. The shot of you mentioned this, the shot of the girl outside, like behind the wall.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose that shot again? Like, I know you kind of just spoke on it, but go in a little bit more detail, because I felt what you had kind of explained, which was when I first saw this, I felt myself kind of that barrier of the wall, like we could see it happening, but not in full context. You know it's happening, and you start. And at that moment, you're almost. I went from connecting with the female in the other room to the female sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Was that the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Is that the goal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like an outsider looking in,
Yep.
but you knew that she had probably experienced a similar beating, and she knew that she was, again, powerless to go out and help this young woman who she may have mentored, who she may have seen grown up, but she knew that the only thing that she could do was hide, not make a sound, and just kind of feel her pain.
Yeah.
And
and through his shots, I felt like not the pain of that, but the emotional, like in that spot, in the sense of you can connect with that person with the way it was filmed, framed, and you can really connect.
Real quick, what I didn't want to do was show the older woman early on, because you typically in film, and you'll see this in, I don't know if you watch Stranger Things, I don't know if I can say that here in the church, but something like that, where you see this, it's called classic misdirection, where they lead you a certain way and you think this woman's isolated, there's nobody to help her. He purposely brought her to that place to hit her. No one hears her screams. But then we switch the camera angle after the first hit, and you see that there's somebody there. Are they going to do something? I wish they could do something. But she does nothing.
Got it. So we've been talking about cinematography in the sense of film. Now I want us to start making that turn. And I'm going to throw some of these questions out to you. You normally go to Hamilton Mill, but when you're here or for a conference.
I come here for the big ones.
For the big ones?
I come here for Easter.
Boom. Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Easter was that was one of my favorites.
You should have tried this weekend. It was awesome.
Oh, I bet.
It was awesome. But how do you see what we do from an outside perspective? Because I could sit here and share, and I will a little bit more about how I've seen this, but as an outside perspective, but someone in film, you can put some words to this. How do you see in our service, especially during worship, how do you see our team telling a story?
Sure, and I'll go back to like the drawing board. When we talk about something like the True Conference, or we talk about Easter, we're sitting there, all the creatives and the executives, we're sitting there and we're designing this thing from start to finish. Like we talk about, what do we want people to feel in Easter? What's the message we're trying to convey? What's the immersion point? And production, the event team, the marketing team, the worship, pastors, we're all designing this together. So I've not seen that in other churches. I'm sure they do it, but not as collaboratively as we do it here. Like Easter was the Super Bowl. Yeah. I knew, I had experienced last Easter, and it was good. But this Easter, the way that we threw to each other, it's kind of like an underhand throw.
Yeah, I agree.
It was beautiful. That what you guys did on stage, Todd's song and the way that you guys moved the cameras, you even had steady cams out here, that was all very closely related to what we did when we created the videos. Like we walked hand in hand in that.
Yeah, so speaking of I'm so glad you brought that up. One thing, if you guys remember, when we did, was it the hip hop, Who Do You
Auto-tune,
Choose song, right? Yeah, the auto-tune song.
Who do you choose?
We chose, so when we got that, we had this kind of back and forth storytelling, but we had one story with Barabbas on this side, and then I'm drawing a blank because I just got nervous.
Jesus and Pilate.
No, Pilate. I was like, Jesus didn't speak in this
Jesus.
one. I got Jesus right.
Okay,
But he didn't
I wasn't sure.
Jesus wasn't a rapper at this point. So Pontius Pilate. Once we started picking out this idea, we started seeing the visuals for it was going to be more raw and more rough. So we wanted this like really raw emotion when we wanted to tell this as a team. And then so the reason that we actually went to Steadicams is I was going, okay, these guys are trying to figure out who he's going to release. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be gritty. I didn't want to cut normal. I didn't want to have camera 1 and 2, and then cut through a jib, and then go to 3. Like I didn't want this we wanted it to stand out differently than a normal song. So I said, what about if we just get 2 Steadicam ops and we don't cut? It's a straight one take, one shot, which you'll see sometimes in like shorts or films and stuff. It'll be like you'll cut to someone and they'll follow the guy up the stairs, especially in like some horror movies or something, some opener pieces for like a really good film. You may start with someone, they pick up something off the table, you follow them upstairs, there's stuff going on in other rooms. And what it is I didn't want to break any attention away from that moment that we were doing this song. So the reason the Steadicam, we chose that was for that reason. I wanted you to stay locked in, and we wanted to tell a story without it going, all right, let's do something normal. We want this to stand out. We wanted it to kind of be gritty when we, if you guys remember, there's the part where he starts like breathing really heavy on that second verse. We had it start with a Dutch angle and slowly come in like this to the breath. We wanted you to like visually feel what he was doing. Those are opportunities, like as a team, we get a chance to go, all right, how do we make this stand out? What kind of emotion do we want to give here? That was a really good example of that.
At what point did you decide to bring in the Steadicams?
When the budget was cleared. No, I never got that cleared, actually. I don't know. Honestly, it wasn't anything specific. It may have been one of the volunteers in here that threw it out. I know I was with Nathan Williams, and he had said something. His neighbor, Noah Wood, was like, hey, if you ever need anybody to do a Steadicam, and I was like, okay, now we have 2. And when I was watching it, we started seeing these visuals, and I did not want it to be normal. Right. I wanted it to be like not different for different sake. I knew that normal wasn't going to give the emotion it needed. And we've said this word a lot now, and it's something I don't want us to forget, is like what we do as a team via video and lighting and even audio can help evoke emotion. And we can pull that away by not just cutting a lot. We could have just went on one, and then when he looks right, cut to another one, held it out. But it would have been this, you would never have made a switch. Right. So the Steadicam, well, first we were just going to do handhelds the whole time, but I know that can get, I wasn't sure if I wanted that. I honestly, after we finished it, I thought maybe we should have to give it a little bit more of a rough vibe, because the Steadicam is so smooth. But it allowed us to get really tight. Which is one thing we didn't pull wide. We wanted to stay like waist up, neck up. Like I wanted it to go, you're in the moment with this individual. We were able to do that here. Not every campus can do that. Here we were able to. So that was why it really, honestly, it drove like, so on that, actually to go on top of that one more time, is I didn't know, I wasn't worried about the technical side of it. I didn't say, man, it'd be really cool to use a Steadicam. How are we going to use that? So I didn't want to put like the gear first, which is when we were saying earlier, I want it to be about you guys. I want like how we plan these services, but I want how we put these services together as a team to be about the emotions. I don't be emotional like just kind of at the whim. I mean like what emotions are we conveying? Where are we taking people? That was the first thing. And then I kind of found out what's the best way to create that emotion. Sure. How do we keep a shot on for 1 minute and 40 seconds without someone going, I can't hold this up any longer? Well, it came down to get another jib or do 2 Steadicam ops. And that's kind of how it came about. It was choosing the Steadicam was the last thing, which I thought was really cool for our team to not like just think of something technical right away, but think of the emotion right away.
For us, we had designed the shots in a specific way. They were pretty much locked down.
Yep.
But then Todd sent me his song, Who Do I Choose? And we listened to that, and we were like, that's really hard. Like that's bumping. We need to add some movement to our shots. So what we did is go back to the shot list and just try to add energy and movement to the shots that matched the music that you guys were going to go to.
Yeah.
Regardless of our score and what we had underneath the performances of the Bible characters, we wanted to make sure that handoff was something you could just pick up and say, we're doing movement too.
Yep.
Because we knew that was going to be a lot more energy and a lot more gritty. So we had decided to make a little shift, and you got to stay flexible in this, man.
Yep.
You got to stay flexible.
I agree.
No matter how much you say, no, this is going to work, this is going to do it. No, if there's other pieces in the whole performance,
Yep.
you really need to respect those.
One thing that when we're talking about this, True Conference was another one that was really big this past year of the vignettes and storytelling that you guys told. It made me think of like between media and what we do, of like, I don't know if you guys have been into track and field, which I think once you leave high school and the Olympics, you don't ever think of track and field. Is it even do people do that other than the Olympics?
I don't know. I
Yeah, I don't
pray
know.
and meditate in the Lord. Jesus.
Got it. Cool. But it reminded me of like just the whole relay race of like we're all running pretty fast,
Yeah.
and to be able to hand off that baton quickly, but then keep up the pace. So you're not like, I'm running ahead of you, why don't you catch up? Or
That's great.
so I feel like Easter and True Conference been one of those things, like we're running here, and then you guys are running here, but we're trying to like keep an eye on each other, because that handoff is huge. If it's dropped, race is over, you get. So for us, I think just as a department across our team, across other campuses in this team, that's something we've done. Really quick, what other things when you walk into a room, and then we'll wrap up, do you see how our video team tells a story like through worship? Is there something that you've seen lately that, I'm not trying to fish here, but like, is there something that stands out when you come, like compared to, and this isn't a knock because I've learned so much from our volunteers. You guys, like, you're teaching me so much, and our staff here, and then friends at other churches. What do you see now that wasn't here 4 or 5 years ago? Well, I guess you were at that other church that.
No, but I actually visited this church first before that other church. And
what did we do wrong? The video, got it.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I think it's just too far away. What I love that you guys do now is you know when to incorporate things like the Steadicam and the jib. Because if you look, I think recently it was the Marriage Masterpiece where I'm watching things online and you're watching the worship and you guys are covering, you're showing the audience worshiping, you're showing the guys on stage, and it was like I was watching Catalyst. It was like I was watching the award shows, because there was nothing missing in the excellence, which really speaks to how you guys work as a whole, not
cool.
individual. How you guys work as a whole.
Yeah.
Nobody's. I don't see any. And I don't know you all personally, but what I love about what the staff does is I don't see pride get in the way, because that's often what we do. Look at me, look at me. That's narcissistic. Look at me, look what I can do. Look how good I'm with the camera. That's what you guys do is you step out of the way and you say, this is not about me. This is about bringing people to the foot of the cross.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
That's
I
awesome.
appreciate that in you guys.
Let me close with this, and then we'll pray, and then we'll split up. A few things technically. So we've kind of talked creativity. We've talked theory. We've talked film. You guys may be going, okay, there's nothing technically, tangibly you're telling me. Let me just point out a couple things you guys have been doing lately, and then we're going to break. And I'll kind of go through each camera. Camera 3, when Michael and Juan currently right now are getting shots of hands in the crowd, or we get shots of worship leaders that aren't singing, they've just got their hands up. The reason we take those shots is I'm trying to tell a story there, and I keep using this word story, but what it is they're physically showing what we would love for the people who are at church here on site or online to do. We love, now here at Victory, you don't have to tell them much. This is not a church that has a problem just going all in. But I want, if it's being modeled on stage, I want to show that story. So in my past, I used to be like, hey, they're not singing, don't worry about them. Or they're not lit, that's wrong. I love it when they're worshiping and they're not lit, and it's just color, and it's that emotion that it tells. That's why we're capturing this. 5 and 6 for our mobile cameras on stage. When you guys are when I'm like, hey, give me Caleb's face, just his face, don't move. For like months there, it'd be like, start to go down. I'm like, no, don't move. Just, we know he hits the drums. That's not, we hear it, we see it, that's not an issue. His emotions are what captures someone hitting a drum usually is not going to capture your heart. I mean, there's a couple things that Dave Matthews Band plays. I'm just like, that's so good. I feel it right here. But no one listens to Dave Matthews Band in this room probably but me. My man. But Caleb's face, which sounds weird, his emotions, the man gets into it. When the keys are playing, anytime you see emotion of someone, okay, they're worshiping, our goal is to tell that story We want to see that on screen. So when you're in the room, you're going, I would rather have that all day over anything else.
Well, it gives people permission
Yeah.
to also go there.
That's good.
Because if they think, well, this is just a thing, or they're just
Yeah.
doing their job, that they see, hey, this person is in it. It's
Yep.
moving them like it's moving me. It gives them permission.
Yeah. Another thing is, this is just me. This may be a little bit me, but it's where we want to go. Echo this morning, a new song, killer, killed it. We want that to be fast, so I'm cutting quick because it's got a lot of energy. A lot of times we try to do an opening song that's got a lot of energy. Lets people come in. This sounds weird, but they may have had a terrible day or a terrible morning. I'm big. My heart is a lot on like people who come in who don't like church. I like. It sounds weird. I love those people because they like are giving it a chance and they're going, all right, I may give this a last chance. I had a terrible day. I had a fight with my family, and so we come in. Sometimes I'll come in and just take this place for granted. This may be their last shot. Like they're going, I'm going to go to church one time, and then I may go home and do something. They may commit suicide or something like that. We've had that. Churches all over, they'll give it one more chance. So for me, I'm thinking of that. So sometimes the opening song, we just want to give energy and go like, hey, we have fun here. We can worship here. And then the flow of the service may come back down and then come back up. We do that, and we want to take our cuts, speed it up, match it. Because if it's like echo, so something I've started doing, and I encourage you guys if you want to, it's kind of weird, but it's worked so far, is go back and watch back what you've done, but then turn the audio off and just watch. And just see, like, what emotion am I telling right now? So, like, I watched a couple songs. That's why I picked up the pace a little bit and was, like, having 3 and 5 and 6. Like, I was like, man, make it a little bit more raw. Like, give me stuff that normally you wouldn't. Because when I watched back a fast song, it felt just like Good, Good Father. And it was like, we're rocking the echo, but it's like, and everything was just slow. And I'm going, are we matching what we're seeing on stage? I don't know. There can be a point where you go crazy and it's just too much. But,
Where did you get that from, turning the sound off and watching? Because I know it was in master class.
In this class?
No, master class. So I got it from Ron Howard.
I got it
look
from
at your films and turn off
That's
the sound.
awesome. I got it from Noah, which is my 3.5-year-old, unplugged my speakers.
Oh.
And I didn't know why it wasn't working. And I was like, this works. So
Wow.
He's a smart kid. 3.5.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's for real. But I was like, this is really good. Like, what story are we telling right now, even though we audibly can't hear it? Like, what are we seeing? What emotion are we giving? Because we're such visual storytellers, and with film and lighting, we're such visual. So, like, if you watch a song and it's bright yellow and red, and I'm cutting fast, and you turn the volume up, and it's some slow song, you're like, that was weird. So that's the reason, which we'll get into one other day, is like the choices of color that we have for our lighting cues. So yeah, that's one thing. Those are tangible things that we've been seeing you guys. And we're going to be putting a lot of stuff on the website and starting to tell you more. Tonight was a night, this part, I wanted Phil to come up here, and we're going to be doing this every other month, of bringing different creatives in from other areas. So it's not just always bringing in someone to talk about what you guys already do. I want you to start learning new ways of doing it. That cool? Phil, we're going to wrap up because
I got to pee?
I didn't know that.
You weren't going to say that. Okay.
No.
You say what you're going to say.
Do you need to pee?
Hey, Ozzy.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. No, I don't. Okay, cool. That threw me off. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Phil, amen. Hang out here for a second. I'm going to have you pray. Okay. We're going to break up as soon as it's over. Take a 5-minute break. Like I said, camera 3 ops, if you want to hit that up. Keith 1, Keith Jr., you have to go. And Richard, you're 3. Mobiles, meet me right here in like 5 minutes. Graphics ops in the back. Studio cameras right there. Cool? If you have to head out after this, that's fine. Perfectly understand that. If you are brand new, meet me actually right here on the end of the stage once we finish. I want to make sure we get you plugged in at the right spot. Cool? Ozzy, do you need to tell your crew anything specific? Good? If you want to join them in graphics or cameras, you just float around and let me know. We're going to kind of go over some of the basics and stuff, and that'll kind of be our thing. I just want to make sure we get this first night together and go over a couple things. Cool? Phil, would you mind praying us out, man?
Not at all, brother. All right. Father, Daddy, man, we come to you with open arms. Man, we love you, God. You are always right where we need you. right where we left you, just waiting for us. Also with open arms, Father. We love the giftings and the courage and the intensity, the passion that you put in us, Father. May we use those giftings for nothing else but your glory, because that's all that matters, Father. Our goal is to love you with our heart, mind, and soul, Father, and to love others in that as you love. Father, teach us to use our giftings so selflessly that when people look at us and they see us working hard, and they see us sweating, and they see our passion, they look at us and they think, man, there's something different about that person. What is it? And they see Jesus. They see Jesus, Father, like John the Baptist, who his whole purpose was to make way for Jesus. Let us get out of the way. Let us get away from pride and our own egos, Father, and get completely out of the way like John the Baptist and say, no, don't follow me. Follow that guy. Follow Jesus Christ. He's the King. Father, let us see that and wear that as a mantra on our chest. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Phil, everything Phil for being here. Awesome.
Thank you.